when you leave, let's say it's at 18, you embark on a different timeline. Your entire existence and that your experiences are so far removed from what you knew. And let's say you do 4 or 8 or 10 or 20, years of service and throw in combat experience and all that other stuff. And when you're done with that, when you reconnect, to that family and everybody else that you left behind. A lot of times, the only thing, at least for me, you're trying to reconnect from the point where you left, the point where that timeline segmented. Well, guess what? You've missed birthdays, you've missed graduations, you've missed weddings, you've missed births, you've missed people growing up, you've missed people growing old, you've missed people dying. And so when you're reconnecting, sometimes like in cases like mine, you're trying to reconnect 14, 15 years after the last real civilian connection you had with your family. That's very difficult because they're not the same and you're not the same. And trying to reconnect with who you are with them now might not even be something that they're, it might even be something that they're like, oh, that's kind of scary. This person's been through, you're a different person now. Yes, I'm a very different person now. And trying to make that connection is very difficult. And I think that's why gaming as a way of, call it therapy, is in gaming with communities and friends and other people, even if they haven't served yet. It's because they get to know you now, and they get to know you in a different way. They get to know you specifically through gaming. And that is a comfort, because without that, you may not feel like you have anybody.
Today, we have some very special guests, Deity from StackUp.org and RagingAxeMan from Regiment. Both organizations I hold very near and dear to my heart, as I am a member of both also. So, Deity, RagingAxeMan, welcome. I appreciate you all coming out today. We have a lot of questions today for you guys. And we're going to talk about how charities and veterans and how we raise money and how we support veterans in various different ways, especially around, veteran suicide, which is a big deal, I think. So, Deity, first we'll start out with you. What do you do? First, introduce yourself for people that don't know you. And if you don't know Deity, I've known him for a very long time. We're both Battlefield content creators and been playing together forever. But go ahead, Deity, and go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know what you do.
Yeah, thanks, man. And appreciate you and Mizzy putting this on and having us involved in the podcast. It's always great to come on and be with you guys. And it's always good to see you, Pun. We don't get to play together often enough, for sure. But yeah, my name's Deity, or Sean. I work for StackUp.org. I'm an influence relations manager. That my whole role there is to find content creators, find people where they are, to do some charity streaming for veterans. We the charity itself, I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more, but I'm a longtime Battlefield player. We won't talk about that today. I haven't made content, and I haven't made content on Battlefield for a little while. But I am a first-person shooter guy. I'm a gamer. I'm a two-time combat veteran. I'm retired Army Sergeant First Class. So I kind of check all those blocks when it comes to veterans and gaming. I deal with the same things that a lot of other veterans, combat veterans and veterans alike, deal with in terms of like PTSD and mental health. So all of this stuff is very important to me, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, which is why I'm working with StackUp. Even before I worked for them, I worked with them, raising funds and doing that volunteerism type stuff. It's all very important to me. It's all part of my DNA. It's who I am. So that's me in a nutshell. Hopefully that's a good enough intro, Pun.
Oh, perfect, I think. All right, RagingAxeMan, let everybody know about you.
All right. So my name's RagingAxeMan. Brandon. A lot of you guys know me by RagingAxeMan. I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years, from 2010 to 2014. 0331 machine gunner. I got over 25 years of gaming experience from the NES, playing Duck Hunt, Mario, Days of Thunder. I know you guys probably played the hell out of that one. I first learned about Regiment, back a year ago, actually a year this month. I joined March of 2021, and just this last couple months, I accepted a position as a staff. We've done great things since I've came in. The Twitch hasn't really been, it's kind of been dormant with just tournaments and stuff like that. We've taken it from that to being live every day, from 1200 to 2200 Eastern time, every single day, Monday through Sunday. We're planning on doing a lot of things with the Twitch side because of the fact that the gamers or veterans use gaming as an out. Like, we all have our demons, we all have our mental issues, and gaming is one of those ways that we just kind of find a way out. So Regiment, found a way to bring veterans together through gaming, and we're combating veteran suicide with that. We're combating the depression, the PTSD, the anxiety, being able to game with other like-minded veterans. And that's one thing that I definitely stand behind is veteran suicide is a big deal, especially nowadays. And it's one thing that I'm always ready to do more, be better at combating it. And although I haven't had to deal with it a whole lot, there are instances where I did have to deal with it. And I think Regiment and Stack Up definitely handle it in the best way. And they do a lot to prevent that from happening.
Very good. Well, Deity, since we're talking about, lost his camera. Does he still have a microphone?
How about now?
There we go.
My phone did something stupid, so sorry. I'm mobile, guys. This wasn't supposed to be a mobile podcast, but Semper Gumby, right? Is that how that goes?
Yeah. Hey, that's how we work, right?
Always flexible.
Yeah. So, Deity, can you go ahead and let's go over the mission of Stack Up and how they support that mission?
Sure. So Stack Up, what we do is we focus on gaming and geek culture as a means to combat mental health problems, support veterans in a positive mental health role, as well as prevent suicide with some of our programs that we have directly. So everything that we do is focused around those tenets of, we know that over 22 a day veterans in the United States alone take their own life, which is a crazy amount. And we know during COVID that's, clearly been an exacerbated problem, just because a veteran who's already isolated was further isolated in the last 2 years than they may have ever been. Just to, due to the pandemic and due to everything else. And so we know that number is even higher than what it had been before. But just, even without the direct suicide numbers themselves, when you're talking about, I think Axeman had said it, we're all gamers. We use that as our one of our ways to combat the things that are entering our mind and consume us. And so these other, having a gaming community, having people that play games, having games that can occupy that space denies the bad thoughts or the worst things in your mind from occupying that same space and same time. So we do supply crates where we send supply crates full of it's basically a gaming care package full of maybe a console, some board games, video games, t-shirts, swag, comic books, coffee, whatever we get, whatever we can throw in that crate. We send those to troops that are deployed or even at home after service. And I know some people are, like, well, we don't have a whole lot of troops deployed. Well, that's not actually true. Just because we're not necessarily in Iraq and Afghanistan anymore, we got a lot of people from the U.S. and our allied services that are deployed overseas. If you don't realize right now, we got a ton more that we just sent over into Eastern Europe or Central Europe.
Yeah.
We've got ships underway all over the place. Pun right there, right up your alley. We got these are constant military operations that we're always doing. And so we are finding that we've got Marines stationed at embassies across the world. We've got CSAR birds flying all over in Africa and different places. There's a lot of veterans deployed. So we send those care packages out to all of those places, just as we did when people were deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq. And so just to clear the misnomer of, well, we don't have a lot of people deployed. We do. We have a lot. And those are rotating missions. And so one of our other, that's our physical operation that we do for veterans and active duty service members of U.S. and Allied forces. Then we also have our air assault program. Our air assault program is basically an all expense paid trip for a veteran, and we take them to a really badass event, something that's really fun, really gaming and geeky. We'll take them to PAX. We'll take them to E3, Comic-Con, maybe get them to meet their favorite cosplayer, maybe to meet a celebrity if we can get them in touch with a celebrity, which, I mean, we've done these things. These aren't like, these aren't things that are, well, we'll definitely try, and we will try, but we have done. And then we'll, if we can get them a tour of a studio, maybe play a game early, those types of things, anything that we can do for that veteran that may not have been able to afford it to be able to go to them. They couldn't have afforded to go themselves, or perhaps they weren't up here. They weren't ready to go and say, you know what, agoraphobia is a real big thing. PTSD, social bubble, isolation. We give them that bubble, that safety bubble. And we take them to these and say, you're allowed to have this. This is something awesome, and you're allowed to have this too. And so we give them that safe space. And then we have our 24/7 suicide prevention Discord. And that Discord is, unfortunately, very active over the last 2 years. We have a lot of people entering that Discord, and it's not just simply suicide prevention. It is crisis intervention. So, you can pop in there right now and say, hey, you know what? My name is Deity 552, and anonymously, I'm chatting with you, telling you I'm not in a good headspace right now. Something's not right for me, and I need some help. And they're going to take you and triage you. And if they feel like you're going to hurt yourself or someone else, then they have what's called a duty to warn. And we have a clinical board that we escalate that call to, to make sure that we're not going to, lose somebody that day. And so we run the gambit of all of those. It's a very active program. Every year that we've been in activity, we have continued to grow in all of our programs. It's the one that I say, God, I hate that we have that program. But what I really want to say is I hate that we have to have that program. I love the program and what it does, but we all know that if people are entering that means we got a problem. But we're there. We're there for them when they enter there. But that's what StackUp does. That's the mission that we support. That's what I'm doing, is looking for content creators to raise funds to do those things, raise money for supply crates and air assaults, raise money to support the STOP program. That's in a nutshell, that's what we do.
And I can say, as a StackUp stream team member, the thing that motivates me the most is getting people help. And the STOP program is probably, to me, the most important thing that StackUp does, because that's what's going to save lives. And I've seen it firsthand, even within the last month. I've had a personal friend of mine that's used it, and it helped. So I'm telling you, Deity can tell, he can attest to this too. But if you know of anybody that needs help, that is a 24/7 around the clock service, free of charge, that we can get you help there. So please, if you go to stackup.org website, you'll see the link for STOP. You can get the Discord. You can go to StackUp's Twitch. The Discord link's down there. Everybody, I think every military member at least needs to join the StackUp Discord, so that you can get that access if you need it, or if you have a friend that needs it. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, so I thought it was interesting. I've joined Regiment. I've probably been there for about a year now, or almost a year. And it was really interesting when I joined Regiment, is that I saw that the mission of Regiment aligned very closely with StackUp. And then fairly recently, Regiment has joined StackUp. So, Raging, can you go into detail on why Regiment decided to partner with StackUp, and describe what Regiment does to help promote StackUp?
Well, I mean, StackUp, they have a very similar motto and business plan that Regiment does. I mean, we're both using gaming to combat veteran suicide. We raise thousands of dollars for numerous veteran and suicide prevention charities, Stack Up included. So, I mean, it was definitely beneficial for us to partner with them, just because of the fact that we have a like mindset. Regiment's all about combating suicide. It's our number one goal is to combat suicide through gaming. Just like Stack Up with Deity, where he said that their main goal is to combat suicide in veterans through gaming. So for us not to partner with Stack Up, it's a done deal there. Like it was going to happen. But Regiment, like, we have gamers that stream, we have people that create YouTube and everything, and we try to help them as much as we can. But our main goal isn't to make sure that they get partner or make sure that they succeed on YouTube. Although we'd like to see that happen, they can do that on their own by just networking through the members. And I think that's probably the biggest, aspect that they have to do that is to network with people, make friends with people, get other veterans that are like-minded like them to join their streams, support each other through each other. And I mean, that's what the military is all about, is, getting everyone six. So our main goal is to combat suicide. So people will join Regiment that think, okay, I'm going to promote my stream and everything. And that's not what we're about. We're about combating suicide through gaming. I've come in, I've put in the programs, like the new Twitch team program. We're working out a few kinks with that we started with, but we've got it running pretty smoothly now. What we do with that is every month we accept applications, and through those applications, we go through them. We find the people that have the best quality, the best entertainment, best personality, and we add them to our monthly roster. What we're doing there is we want to have more interaction with our members. We want more members to come to the stream. We want more members to interact with each other, have fun. The biggest thing about streaming is it's either a make or break. Streaming is either going to make somebody or break them. And what I see every day is veterans will come through. They have their own problems. They'll start streaming, and they think they're going to be the next Nick Merckx or Tim the Tap Man. And we all know that's not the reality. It takes a lot of years and grinding to get to that point, and you may never get to that point. There's partners that only have 100 or 200 people the last 5 years, and they're never going to break that. So that really gets them down, and then they're back in their dark place. So I think the biggest thing for us as gamers and streamers is to like set that aside. Don't worry about the numbers and everything. Worry about interacting with other veterans and streamers that are veterans that can help you. Regiment's there for you. Stack Up is there for you. If you have an issue, instead of just giving up on a goal or giving up on life, come to us. We're all here to help. Regiment's there to help. It's our number one goal, to combat veteran suicide through gaming. Stacked Up's there to help. They're the same thing, combat suicide through gaming. And that's why I joined Regiment. That's why I love, working with Stacked Up. I've worked with Stack Up numerous times, just as a personal streamer, raising funds for them. I think that Regiment's going in the right direction with combating suicide through gaming, and I think we're going to continue to go in the right direction. We're over 10,000 members in our Discord now, and that number is growing astronomical every day. I think when I joined last March, we were at 2,000-ish members. If I remember correctly, I think that's around the time that you joined.
Yeah, about the same time. Yeah,
about 2,000 members were in the Discord. So in a little over a year, we've grown to 10,000 from 2,000. Like, that's out of this world for growth. And the reason why Regiment is growing and the reason why Stack Up is growing is because we're unique. There's numerous charities and organizations out there that combat veteran suicide, but I think we're the only ones that really combat it through gaming. And that really attracts people, because who doesn't like to play video games? I mean, even people that, don't play Xbox or PlayStation or, PC, the hierarchy of the consoles, they still play mobile games. They're still going to play like COD Mobile or something. So everybody plays video games. And I think that's the biggest goal point to combating veteran suicide is through gaming, because like we said before, we have our own demons, myself included. I've been at that all-time low where I was ready to just, end it all. But I got the help. I got the help I needed. I pushed through it, just like, the Marine I am. I improvised, adapt, and overcame.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that helped me was video games, was playing video games with other veterans that have been to combat, that know what we went through. And I see Regiment and Stack Up doing that for other veterans, is, making sure that they interact and find people that they can interact with that have been there and done that and seen things that we saw. And, that I think is what helps more than going to a shrink or, just keeping it bottled up in the back of your head like the military teaches you to do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think gaming is a great platform for a lot of veterans. And since we're talking about this, and I don't think this question was in the list, but what does gaming do for veterans? I mean, how are games helping veterans? Because I personally have used games for myself, but can y'all both kind of talk about that? Deity, if you want to go ahead and start on that.
Yeah, sure. It's there's this mindset of there's only a one tool for one job, right? So there, you need to have, a pill for a problem. You need to have a counselor for a problem, and all of that stuff. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But there's no magic bullet for this type of stuff. Like, in the simplest of terms, so for some people, it's church, it's their religion. For some people, it's their family. For some people, it's the gym. For some people, getting out there and getting some endorphins or a good run. Not all of that works for every person. And so what gaming is, it's another tool in your tool belt to attack the same problem. And if a game can consume a part of your thought and a part of your mind in a way that can't be supplanted by the worst things that you've got going on, and the worst things that when you're alone, I mean, as a veteran especially veterans who have seen things that they don't wish to re-see, but they can't get away from those things or those seeping thoughts. If you can fill that space with other things that are fun or engaging, I mean, it doesn't have to be gaming. We're talking about gaming because that's what we do. We're also talking about video gaming. It doesn't have to be video gaming. It could be D&D. It could be playing a board game. It could be, watching, Marvel movies, reading comic books, reading books in general. These are all the same type of activity that gaming is. It's just a fun thing and you know what? And there's some gamers out there that they actually don't get the enjoyment out of the game itself. They get the enjoyment out of something that comes out of the game, like completing the level or, building the castle in Minecraft, or, it's like they hate the grind, but they love the product, right? All of it's the same. It's just occupying space that would otherwise or could potentially be occupied by very seeping, very bad thoughts or very bad memories. And if we can keep the worst thing in your mind the last thing in your mind, then maybe the worst thing in your mind is not going to be able to consume you. That's why gaming.
Yeah. And I think I'll speak from personal experience. Not only gaming has helped me mentally, but it's helped me physically. There was a time where I was actually using video games for physical therapy when I had surgery from a service related injury. So, a lot of people don't consider how games can help veterans, but that is one way that I've personally seen it too, is that I've used it to help me regain mobility in my hands and my elbows. So that too. Rage, what do you have to say on that topic?
I think that like I said, it's a perfect tool to combat suicide and everything, because for me, it was shooters. Like, shooters were the biggest thing for me. I don't play shooters anymore because of recent things that have happened with hacking and all that. We won't get into that right now, but shooters were the biggest thing.
No hacking in gaming.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Especially not Warzone. But I mean, in reality, you're a combat vet. You're comfortable in that situation. And I know a lot of people would agree with that. You're comfortable in those types of situations. And then you come out and you just kind of get the boot. Like here's civilian world. How do you adapt to that? You have no debriefing on how to go back to civilian life. You've had what, 18 years of civilian life, and you can't even really use that because you weren't an adult then. You were a child. So now you're just kind of like thrown to the wolves, put in the civilian world as an adult, and you're like, what do I do now? Yeah. So I think video games are a good outlet for that, especially for the combat vets playing shooters, because it put you back in that situation again. You're able to do your call outs and, able to feel like a part of a fire team again. And, just even reverse psychology and everything, hearing the sounds in your headphones to kind of subconsciously put you in that element again. And as much as it messes us up, it's like, I don't know how many people are watching that aren't veterans, but I will say for you guys that aren't veterans and have not been to combat, like, it messes us up mentally, but at the same time, we'd go back in a heartbeat. Like, it makes absolute no sense to the normal everyday person, but like, it's just the way that our minds are made, especially like in the Marine Corps. Like, they drill that into your head that you're a warrior, you're a killer, like that's who you are. And it sticks with you, even in civilian life. Like I got out, let's see, what is it, 8 years ago? I've been a firefighter for the last 6 years. And I even put Marine Corps mentality into my job with firefighting. It just constantly stays with you. In the military, you always thrive to be the best. You always thrive to advance in rank and everything. That's what I've done with the fire department. Like, I went from being, the probie to advancing up to a fireman, where I was on a medic unit, advanced up into being a driver operator now, driving a fire truck every day. And I think if we apply that to everyday life as well as video games, we can go a lot of places. The Call of Duty with Code, where they hire veterans to be on the developing team and everything. I think that's an amazing thing too, because it's getting veterans off the street. Like, quite literally, we have veterans on the streets that have the knowledge to build video games, but because they just kind of got kicked to the curb with no direction from the branch, they're on the streets. Like, they don't know how to cope with life. And I think Call of Duty, other than the issues with Activision, I think that aspect of it, they're doing the right thing. Video games are our outlet, and we need to continue to use it as an outlet, because, like I said, you can go to a shrink all day and talk about your problems, but at the end of the day, veterans are a different breed. Like, we can't just talk about our problems and then it's gone. Like, we tend to cope with them a different way, whether it be, food or alcohol or video games. Video games are the safest way to cope with it, because, I mean, how many people drink themselves into a slumber and, don't wake up from it? How many people eat so much that they end up with diabetes that, causes them to be terminal with it? And at least with video games, there's no consequences of playing video games. And that's why I think that video games are a good coping mechanism for veterans dealing with PTSD.
Yeah. And I know too. Yeah, go ahead, Deity, please.
Oh, you were going to go ahead and tip in on that. There was something that Raging said that I wanted to kind of expound on a little bit.
Go ahead. So
Raging had mentioned, you only had 18 years of being a civilian. So what the hell does that? I mean, that's actually a really good way of looking at that. I'm going to steal that, by the way. It's 100% stolen. Stole strategic transfer of logistics and equipment. Stole. So I'm going to steal that. But here's the thing. When you leave for the military, this is something that is hard to really convey to people who haven't served. When you leave, let's say it's at 18, you embark on a different timeline. Your entire existence and that your experiences are so far removed from what you knew. And let's say you do 4 or 8 or 10 or 20, years of service, and throw in combat experience and all that other stuff. And when you're done with that, when you reconnect, you're to that family and everybody else that you left behind. A lot of times, the only thing, at least for me, you're trying to reconnect from the point where you left, the point where that timeline segmented. Well, guess what? You've missed birthdays, you've missed graduations, you've missed weddings, you've missed births, you've missed people growing up, you've missed people growing old, you've missed people dying. And so when you're reconnecting, sometimes like in cases like mine, you're trying to reconnect 14, 15 years after the last real civilian connection you had with your family. That's very difficult because they're not the same and you're not the same. And trying to reconnect with who you are with them now might not even be something that they're, it might even be something that they're like, oh, that's kind of scary. This person's been through, you're a different person now. Yes, I'm a very different person now. And trying to make that connection is very difficult. And I think that's why gaming as a way of, call it therapy, is in gaming with communities and friends and other people, even if they haven't served yet. It's because they get to know you now, and they get to know you in a different way. They get to know you specifically through gaming. And that is a comfort, because without that, you may not feel like you have anybody. You don't feel like you have your family. You don't, at least not the way you thought you did. You don't feel like you have those things. And instead of being alone, gaming communities gives us people to be around. And we didn't know them 18 years ago, 20 years ago. We know them now. One of the things that I benefit from more than anything is my wife. I met as I was retiring. So she knows me better than anybody else, because we've known each other for all of that after service time. And she was there with me for everything that we've experienced since then. Way better than my family ever could, because I missed, a couple, decade plus of all that family connection. So Raging, I just wanted to kind of take that comment that you made and kind of expound upon it. And I am going to steal that because it's really salient. It's really important. You're right. We only get 18 years to practice of what being a civilian's like, as well as being connected to that family and friends that we have at that point. After that, we're different people entirely. The military trains you, teaches you, you become a leader. You become, someone who is on a team. You become something completely different. And I don't mean a robot. I mean a different human being. And by the time you come back to connect, that's tough. It gets real tough. That adds to all that stress. You can't go to your mom or your dad and say, unless maybe they've served, maybe they're a Vietnam vet or something, and maybe that makes sense. But in most cases, you can't come back and be like, Mom, you won't believe what I saw, and try to make that make sense. That's hard. That's hard for us to do. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on that one, but I did want to kind of twick on that one a little bit.
I mean, I'm the same way. Like I met my wife after I got out and everything. She understands me now way more than my own family.
Oh yeah. One of the things that we do here on the podcast is we do feature chat questions, and Zoomy CR has one. It's pretty lengthy. I don't know how it will display. We'll see. I'll show it. See if they shrink it down. There you go. It works. So he says, I know a vet who retired as a sergeant, E5, got 100% from the VA. Dude's given up on asking the vet community for help because he gets treated like a piece of blank. Figure out what this is. Based off of the rank he's retired at and his MOS combined supply, what would you say? I think the gist of it is he was saying, what can he do to get help? Or what would you say to that guy to convince him not to give up? That's the question.
Oh, fuck those people. Sorry for my language, but if somebody's going to look down upon you for the rank that you retired at, I mean, I'm guessing you probably disability retired. I mean, I disability retired as an E7. I had 14 years. I mean, it's, it's weird, when somebody gives you that, oh, you retired, huh? You did 20. It's like, you know what? Screw you. I wanted to do it. That was where I wanted to be. My next position was a first sergeant of the MI company. Like, of course I wanted to continue, but my body and the military had other plans with things that went down and went wrong, and how I got, how I was hurt and whatnot. So I don't have a choice in that matter. So I would tell that person, first off, to tell anybody who was looking down upon them for their military occupational specialty or what their rank was when they were disabled or when they were retired to get bent, because that person has no value to me if they're going to value you based on those things. Look, if you're in the uniform, you got to value that private, that E1 or whatever, the same way as you're going to value that sergeant major. That person has a legitimate functional value. The training that they've gone through, the training that they're going to get, the leadership that they embody. So, and this guy was a sergeant. That's what I would tell him. And I know that sounds kind of brash a little bit. But that's what I would tell him first off. And second off, I would tell him, find a gaming group, whether it's Regiment or whether, find something that where people aren't going to do that to you. And there's lots of them out there. And, Regiment is one of them that's sitting right here. Stack Up is an organization of both veterans and civilians. They can join in there. Gaming's just one of those really fun things that you don't even have to think about it too hard. You just have to get in and play games with people, and you ain't gonna, and if you can find a place where you're getting judged, you leave that place. Sorry.
Raging. How can the regiment help Zumi's friend?
I mean, I'd say come on over. I mean, if you game, come on over. We'd be glad to help you. We'd be glad to have your six. As far as the issues that he's having, I mean, I'm with Deity on it. Like, screw him. Like, people don't know what they're talking about half the time, especially if it's a civilian saying it. Like myself, I did 4 years. I wanted to do the whole 20, but my body just gave up on me. I wasn't able to do it. I got forced out medically, and a lot of people are like that. And you can't fault somebody and pick on their faults for being medically retired or medically discharged because of the fact that they still signed the contract. They still took the oath. Just because they're hurt and they're out of the military doesn't mean that oath ever expires. I guarantee that if the things going on in Ukraine and Russia and stuff, if there was an enemy front on our soil, those are going to be the first people that pick up a rifle and fight. Are the retired veterans and disabled veterans. They're going to be the first ones to fight because they can't go in and fight anymore. As far as MOS, like when we're in, we all make our jokes, me being an infantry guy, a grunt. People that were admin or supply, I always called them pogues, person other than grunt. We make our jokes for them, but at the end of the day, we're all serving the same branch. Like, especially in the Marine Corps, every Marine a rifleman. It doesn't matter what job you are, you're still a rifleman. And it's the same for all the other branches. Like if the shit goes down, whether you're an IT guy or an admin guy or a grunt, you have the opportunity at some point to pick up a rifle and fire it. So this whole thing with, picking on MOSs or talking down on somebody because they're an admin MOS, it's BS. Like, we just got to grow up. I know that the military is changing from when we were in. I've noticed over the last couple of years that the Marine Corps itself has changed drastically. Like when I went through, I got a scar on my lip because I didn't hold the rifle 4 inches. And drill instructor came up, kicked the rifle went in my mouth. I got 4 stitches on my lip. And I'm scarred for life for that, both mentally and physically. They're not allowed to do that anymore. They're not allowed to touch them. In my opinion, they're making our military soft because of this cancel culture and everybody gets offended by everything. And I feel like the military is just one thing that we can't do that with, because then we end up with issues like this where people are talking down on somebody that was medically retired or discharged. And there's no discipline anymore. Like, it just amazes me.
Yeah. Well, I'll add to it is that it doesn't matter what your rank is. It doesn't matter how long you were in. You're willing to put your life on the line for your fellow brother and sister and your country. And there is no greater price that can be paid than that. And if you were willing to do that, and you were in for 4 years, if you were in for 2 years, if you were in for 20 and you only made E5, you were still willing to do that. And that deserves recognition, and that deserves the respect of everybody. As it's sad that people have to deal with things like that. But yeah, definitely tell your friend Zumi that he deserves all the help he can get. And I do pray he does find that help. And, you know, Stack Up, Regiment are definitely two places. If he's a gamer, he's a veteran, he can join Regiment. I can attest that there's a lot of things going on in the Regiment Discord. There is banter there because we are military, but if you want help, we have VA resources, we have job postings, we had everything there, including getting help for PTSD and that sort of stuff, and point you towards Stack Up for that. So, yeah. Deity, can you share us a story that sticks out to you on how Stack Up has helped a veteran?
Yeah. The you know, our supply crate program has some pretty cool stories, and we get some blog posts. Sahara is our social media manager, and they are quite awesome with getting out some of these stories. So if you ever want to pop on our website and kind of read about what the impact was for some of those supply crates, you can do that. One personally for me that I recall that I got to work with was content creator. It's sponsored a crate. Crate got sent out. The request was from the spouse, and the spouse was requesting for the husband who he was just in a bad spot. He was in a bad way. Nothing was clicking with him, and he had some little girls. He had some kiddos that I don't know what the true story was. Maybe he missed their births when he was deployed. Maybe, you know, because I know that those things can be problems. But he was having a hard time connecting with his own family. And what was really, really neat is we got this story back from the spouse when we got the supply crate, is that we sent them a Switch and Animal Crossing and some other games. And that was something that he was able to do. Is this, you know, we talk about using gaming to prevent suicide and things like that, but it's also about, you know, the problem that Raging and I were talking about, where it's hard to connect back. He got to connect with his little girls. He got to connect with his kids over gaming. So it's not about, you know, it's not just about, here's another one that's completely separate than that. Two retired E8s. They used to serve in the E7, E8, used to play around in the military together. They were stationed at separate spots, or they were retired at separate spots in the U.S. We sent a supply crate to both of those old soldiers, and they got to play some games together. We put two battle buddies back together, you know, 10 years or so after they'd retired. And, you know, that was just a really cool thing. So that's two very, very different examples of how it actually helps, and what we're able to do. And I think that those are my two favorite. So just if I were to pick two off my head, those are my two favorite, because they're two very different examples, two very different things that were kind of combated there.
Nice. I always love hearing those stories, and Stack Up does a good job at posting those. They're really good at posting them on social media, and you can see the results of where the money is going when they see these veterans, these people receiving these Stack Up crates, and you see the smiles on their faces, and you see all that they're getting, and it's pretty cool to see what they get, and you're like, wow, that's really awesome. So thank you, Deity, for sharing those stories. I do appreciate it. Busy is back in the house. I'm going to
here
turn
finally.
over the podcast to her.
I don't know what you mean. I'm just 1 hour late, right? I just realized.
It's all good.
Summertime. Kids don't know summertime. Let me tell you this. Like, my daughter is on point. Like, no, it's still 9. We're kidding me, you know? I'm not gonna sleep. But it's fine. Why did he just leave? I didn't want him to leave. Why, come back. You know, just back.
Okay. All right.
What do you think you're
I'm
doing?
back. I won't speak much though.
Listen, I wasn't here for an hour, and you guys talked about it a lot. So honestly, let's just finish it to the end together, because I honestly don't even know where we are. Tell me where we are first.
So we just had Deity share a story about Stack Up. On our question list, we're talking about what is Stack Up's fundraising goal this year, which is an important thing, because that's how all these things happen, is through fundraising.
Let's talk about that. I like that.
Yeah.
What's our fundraising goal?
Yeah.
Oh, we want this to be the first year that content creators raise $1 million. Last year, content creators alone raised $800 and some odd thousand. That was it's absolutely insane to know. This is, whether you're a streamer or whether you're just someone who goes to the streams, I just want to say, when you're part of a charity event, whether you're hosting it as a broadcaster, a content creator, or whether you're just sitting in chat and being a part of that community, how awesome you guys are, because for the impact that you guys are able to make is massive. The fact that content creators alone in their communities raised over $800,000 last year for veterans, mental health, and suicide prevention blows my mind. It's ridiculous, because I would have never thought that it was something that I would have never thought that, raising money on Twitch for different charities would have been so, what's the word? I want to say pervasive, just so it's out there, like people, like it's everywhere, whether it's St. Jude or, One Up for Cancer or all these other different things. And then for veterans, it's also just one of these, I think people forget about veterans sometimes. I think that's part of the problem is, and this is not, I'm going to say something and I don't want it to be judged in any particular way. It is not hard for you to sell me on how important it is to fight child cancer. I think that's super important. It's really easy for me to make that connection. It is not as easy for me to make that same statement out there that people look at veteran issues. We kind of get forgotten about. We get forgotten about by our own, governments sometimes. We get forgotten about by our own departments that are supposed to be out there and helping us for sometimes. And the reason why we exist, the reason why any charity exists, is because there's a gap in society that isn't being filled in some other way. And charities exist.
It's interesting that you say that. I was actually thinking about you are filling one specific gap right now, right? By creating these gaming events. How do you call it? You said like geek
culture.
Yeah, gaming events and geek culture. Yeah.
Geek culture, right? That was the term. So I really love that. So, but I was thinking, like, Didi, with everything you have seen so far, are there any other gaps you think that would be cool? Or actually, that's a good question for you, both of you, I think. Do you think there's a gap you think that could be filled, which is not out there yet? Or you even saw like people even doing some small other things besides that?
Service animals. I think that's another good one. That's people that need service animals or that require them. I think that there's some, especially in the veteran world, but even for other people that might benefit from having a service animal. Most people just don't consider what the value of that is until you've met somebody that has a service animal that uses it for whatever therapy they use it for, whether it's PTSD, just emotional support, or any of that stuff. It's just a big one. Especially folks that actually worked with animals when they were serving or whatever their job was. Police officers who were canine, right? Yeah. And then once they're done with that service, they have that bond with their animal. Taking care of those. That's another one too. Is those animals serve too? I know that we like to focus on humans, and I'm not saying that we all need to, immediately start finding our first, pet charity and go and donating to, but the animals that are bomb dogs, the animals that are, drug enforcement dogs, the animals that are out there, looking for bad guys and helping, take down bad guys out there, those dogs retire at some point, and they need, those. So that would be another gap. That's just throwing that out there.
Yeah, SAR dogs.
K9.
Yeah, they were. I thought it was a very interesting story that I heard recently. I wish we had time last week. I didn't think about it, but when we had Rockland, USA as a guest, he was a firefighter and disaster response team member for FEMA at 9/11. One of the things that I've heard over the years is about the search and rescue dogs at 9/11 and how they went. They were traumatized through what they saw, because you got to imagine what they went through every day. They were looking and they were finding bodies daily, multiple daily, and those dogs, they suffered. They were. You hear these stories, and I urge people to go look it up online. You'll find these stories about the search and rescue dogs at 9/11, and but you think that you don't have a connection with animals, and you think that these animals don't suffer in through some of the things that we do, but they definitely do. And I think, yeah, I agree with you, Deity. That is definitely a hole that needs to be filled. Is through taking care of our canine, uh, our service members, because we look at them just like anybody else when they're in the service. I mean, they're there sacrificing their life, putting their life on the line just like anybody else.
What are your thoughts, Raging?
First off, I absolutely 100% agree with Deity on his thought process of getting them service dogs, helping the dogs and canines that served at the same time. But the biggest gap that I see with getting out is there's no direction. I think if the military came together as a whole and came up with a game plan on what we can do to give kind of a debriefing, more than just here you go, you're out, here's your paperwork. I think that would help a lot of people out, because like I said earlier, like we get out and we're like, what do we do now? Like you're went in at 17, 18 years old, and that's all for your civilian life is being a child in school. And then you get out and you got to go right back to that point. You might be 30, you might be 24, hell, you might be 38 and done full 20. But I mean, really, when you get out, what do you know about adult life? Like you were pretty much handed everything. You got an education for free. You had free room and board, free food. Like the only thing you really had to pay for was your phone, internet, stuff like that. So like at that point, what do you really know about being an adult, being in civilian life? Absolutely nothing. Like, I think we need to come up with something to bridge that gap. And it doesn't have to be at the end of your career. It could be throughout the entire career, like constantly do. And I hate to say it because we all hate it, but when we have those annual death by PowerPoints, put stuff into those death by PowerPoints instead of doing stuff like, I don't even know. I don't even remember half of them, but they were ridiculous. Like, it's all common sense stuff, but they're not really teaching you anything that's going to help you throughout your career or after your career. So I think if they started adding stuff into those, your annual death by PowerPoint on how to cope with civilian life after the military, and just constantly keep hitting on that every year, I think that would help a lot of people, because most of the time when veterans get out, a lot of the homeless veterans, they don't have a whole lot of mental issues going on. The reason why they're homeless is because they got out and they just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to cope with it. It's kind of like the aspect of, your house burns down. How do you cope with that?
Interesting.
You weren't taught.
It's interesting that you say that now, because now I again have to think of the interview we had last week with Rockland, and he said what helped him in his mental, because he saw so much shit, and he said like what him helped is keeping the schedule for him, keeping his mind busy, having his routines, and now you're saying, I mean, they didn't have any mental health issues, but what they didn't have as well is like a community and a routine to stick to anymore. They felt lost properly in society, and then um because in the end, if you're in the military, I mean, okay, I have no idea. But what I could imagine is really that you miss this community thing that's going on when you go out. Is that way?
You miss the brotherhood, the camaraderie.
Yeah.
That's the reason why a lot of us go into police and fire service. Like, I got out, I went into the fire department. Like, that was the only thing that I knew that I could do. Like, how do you put door kicker on an application or a resume? Like, you don't. There's very few jobs that grunts can go into that are going to benefit them, really. Like, I had no life skills. I had a college degree, but let's face it, a bachelor's in business, it's basically just a piece of paper. Like, you get management at McDonald's with that. That's probably about it. So they don't teach you those things. Like, and that was the biggest thing when I got out, was adapting and finding my comfort zone. And luckily my wife helped me out a lot with coping and everything. Cause when we first got together, I was bad. Like, I was having night terrors, waking up in the middle of the night screaming, wasn't sleeping at all. There were days, like I went 72 hours without sleeping just because I couldn't, I didn't want to. It took a lot, like 2-3 years of her helping me with it. And you know, thank God that she was there to help me and stuck through it all, because I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for her. I'd probably be, I hate to say it, but I'd probably be one of those 22 a day. Like, I was in a rough spot. And the biggest thing that I can tell the veterans that are watching is, if you're in a rough spot, don't be afraid to talk to your spouse. Your spouse said I do for sickness and health, for better, for worse. Like, they're there for you. Use them as that tool. They're going to understand you more than a shrink will, because they've been there. They've witnessed it with you. They know how your mind works. A shrink doesn't know that. But that was the biggest thing that helped me, was talking to my wife. The military didn't really give me any direction on when I got out. And I hit rock bottom. I was drinking every day. The one thing that most veterans do when they get out, they resort to alcohol. Some go to drugs. And it's a rough spot. Personally talking about it, it's a rough spot to be in. And it's just a matter of, you know, going back to that military mindset and getting yourself out of that spot, thinking, you know, I'm a Marine. I can do better than what I'm doing. I shouldn't be where I'm at. And, you know, just going for it. And that's the biggest thing. And finding a profession that you're going to be comfortable with. Like, I see veterans every day get out and they go work at McDonald's and they're miserable, or they go work at Walmart and they're miserable. And when I grew up, my mom always told me, you're not going to make money unless you enjoy what you do. If you enjoy what you do, the money will come. And that's the reason why I went into firefighting. My wife asked me one night, she's like, I'm tired of you going job from job, hating your life, this and that. She's like, what do you want to do? And I just out of the blue was like, I want to be a firefighter. So about a year later, I went and became a volunteer firefighter. And a year after that, I went career with it. And the last 5 years, I've been a firefighter EMT ever since. And I love my job. And granted, my body's broken down from the military, so it's not the greatest. Like, I am in a lot of pain right now. I actually messed up my back yesterday. Probably not going to go to shift tomorrow, but right. Like, I'm 30 years old. If you had asked me 10 years ago if I thought in 10 years I'd have arthritis, I'd say you're insane. But
I have to ask again, and this is for you both, Didi, and I'm sorry, I let you talk, Didi. You're sitting there all the time. But it's a follow-up question to what we are talking right now. Do you think, like, the military should offer, like, I don't know, like, kind of more support and point of career after the military for soldiers? So, like,
absolutely.
I think that's what Raging was talking about a little bit. I think right before you popped on, we had it's okay. No, there's a conversation that kind of went that direction, and I think Raging was talking about how we don't do a good enough job at that. But there's also you know, just like Raging it, I tried to do something when I left, which was, you know, how do you fit back in with the, you know, civilian world that you don't understand and don't know. And I did what everybody else did too. I went back, you know, used my GI Bill, went to college. But I had my plan. You know, I like to think myself an intelligent person. Um, my plan was that I was going to get a degree in philosophy, and that would help me understand problem solving. And I think that that's true. But then I decided to get another degree in sociology so that I understood what the social problems of the world were. Because when you're in the military, it's a microcosm. Things are the problems there. They might be similar to the civilian world because we have it, but it's our own world. It's all very self-contained. And so I needed to know what social problems were out there, what things were happening on the outside, how folks were dealing with certain, you know, aspects of social epistemology. And then I went ahead and got a master's degree in community development because I wanted to know how communities were formed and built, and how roads were made and how and planned and all of those things. And then I found out that all that stuff carried over into the gaming world and into the gaming communities, because just because one is hard structure, the gaming world also has all of those aspects as well. So what I would say to what your question is, I don't think the military does a very good job at all for preparing people to get out and to go back into being, a non-uniformed person. It just doesn't. So I would say that if the military instilled anything, that it would be some sort of a progressive. We have, I think, in the Army we called it ACAP. I don't remember what it was called, but I don't remember what the acronym was. But that was your last 6 months. You go and you figure out how to write a resume. You figure out how to take a couple. They give you a couple classes on interviewing and things like that. Like, that's not super helpful. I know that people think it's helpful, but look, you can find any idiot that all they do is write resumes to help you write a resume. You can find the ability within yourself to learn how to interview properly, being yourself and conveying information, responding to questions. But what we really need is things that help us adapt to non-military life. There's very little out there while you're in that help you adapt to non-military life. And once you're in non-military life, the programs that we have available to us are still very military oriented, like the VA. Like in the US, we've got the Veterans Affairs and things like that are they don't operate, or they operate half in and half out of this civilian world and this military world. We don't have a good translation to civilian life.
I actually had a question and I can't find it anymore, but I'm sure I had it. It was
I'll bet it was.
whatever. No, it
I'll
was
bet
about that.
great
That
question.
I sorry.
I said I bet it was a great question.
Yeah, right. No.
I do
No,
have one thing to add to Deity's thing. The one thing the military doesn't tell you is
okay.
half of the MOSs don't even transfer over into civilian life. Like crash fire rescue, you can't go from crash fire rescue in the military to being a firefighter in civilian life because it doesn't transfer over. You still have to go through civilian fire academy, and they don't tell you those things when you go in.
Oh, that's
I do know that, at least for the Navy, that they have recently categorized our NECs, which is MOSs for everybody else, but NECs with civilian jobs, so that you can kind of see how they cross over with each other. But that's just something that's just come within the last couple years. And I know, you talk about ACAP in the Navy, we have TAP, same thing. And there's literally two things that I remember from TAP. Number one was the DAV, getting your record scanned through DAV, which I think is fantastic. And the guy that came in and showed you how to dress for an interview. That's literally the two things that I remember. And the interesting thing about both of those is neither one of them were PowerPoint presentations. Anything that was on a PowerPoint, I don't remember a single thing. So going back to your death by PowerPoint.
And another thing with the Navy's thing, and the Marine Corps is starting to do the same thing with, giving civilian pairing and everything, but they don't, it only goes so far. Like a combat medic or even a corpsman, they're trained way higher than a paramedic is.
Yeah.
Like
they're
even above nurses. But
yeah,
like in the state of South Carolina, if you're a corpsman or a combat medic, you can get reciprocity, but they're only going to give you EMT basic. They're not going to give you paramedic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a shame, especially like independent duty. The IDCs, those guys literally can do surgery if they have to. I mean, our guy, if he had to, he'd throw you on the wardroom table. He'd cut you open, take your appendix out. If we were on mission and you're going to die. I mean, that's what he was trained to do. And yeah, I hear you there.
So to my question quick, Didi, because of what you said before, do you think like the structures, because of the military, are still like a little bit, antique? So, and they need to be like more modernized in order to see like real changes happening for soldiers, veterans, in order to do the process, because it's not like an inside out, transition. It's probably a little bit more diverse if you look at the whole issue, right?
100%. I mean, there's I don't want to rehash everything we were just talking about, but I will say that somebody it may not actually fall within the military to do, because there's going to be lines drawn and people are just going to say, well, this is what we're able to do, because you're not going to get the last six. In a perfect world, the last 6 months of your military service would literally be a boot camp for. I'm joking and I'm riffing here, guys, but go with me. Last 6 months. What if the last 6 months of your military service was a boot camp back to civilian life? Boy, wouldn't that be great? Really kind of letting you know how things were going to go, how things worked, as well as some of the mental health help that you might need on the way out. It'll never happen. It'll never happen because the military is not going to spend 6 months worth of your salary and training and operate to do that. They're going to do, unfortunately, I think they're going to do the bare minimum and try to do the bare minimum very well. But somebody in chat actually asked, what can civilians do? How can the civilian world make it easier for veterans when they get out? And then someone else was talking about their local chamber of commerce or things like that. One thing that civilian society doesn't do very well, some places do it, but I think some can really explore it, is having a military person on civilian staff that works directly for veterans in society. So working with the mayor's office in a specific city or city council. So a military liaison, a veteran liaison working as a position that can then articulate problems with veterans to civilians on a board, with the mayor's office, with city council, with, when we're building streets and roads, when we're talking about where we're putting all of these or whether we're talking about ordinances or rules that we're putting in, to have somebody sit there in the room and say, hey, did we think about veterans? Did we think about veterans when we did this? Because this has an impact, and I can tell you what that impact is. That would be super helpful. That would be very, very helpful. I personally think.
That's super interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about before? Sorry, I just don't know. Did you talk about you working together, Stack Up and RegimentGG?
Yeah, we
And
covered
what's
that briefly.
you covered that, and you both work a lot with content creators, right?
True story.
Well, yeah. Deity, go ahead and go into your what you do as the influencer manager for Stack Up, and how a day in the life of Deity on the job goes.
Exactly. That would awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why I need you, Pan.
So a day in the life of Deity. Well, it starts with an energy drink, because we are all addicted to caffeine and we all need a little bit of that. But then it starts. I said, what's that?
What?
Yeah, exactly.
No, coffee. You said coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, caffeine. We need caffeine.
Yeah, caffeine. Yeah, I just said coffee.
But so what I.
Oh no!
Oh no!
No, coffee.
Right.
It killed.
My coffee booted him off.
Hopefully he'll come back on. Oh, I hear him coming back in. There he is.
He's coming back.
Am I back?
There we go.
There we go.
Too much coffee,
about that, guys. Apparently my phone needs more coffee. But so basically what I do is I'm looking for content creators, or I'm already working with content creators that have or want to raise money for our programs for charity. So for veterans, mental health, and suicide prevention. And what I'm also doing is I'm giving them kind of a concierge level service of helping them think through their event, think through, for some people, they just go live and say, hey, we're raising money today. Normal stream, raising money today. For some people, they make an event out of it, and they want, cool incentives, and they want you to eat, spicy potato chips, or they want you to drink, a hot sauce, or eat a really terrible flavored jelly bean, and all of those things.
You know what? Twice.
Diddy, narrow down for us in, I don't know, 3 to 5 sentences how the easiest, smallest event somebody could do, which could be effective.
Perfect. Absolutely. I wish more people would actually think about this. Advertise what you're going to do. So the first time that the people that are in your chat hear about the charity that you're raising money for isn't the first time you went live for that charity. So advertise your event, get some socials out there so that people know that your event is coming up, and put some really, really interesting things to do during your event. Incentives, right? Like I said, the Bean Boozled challenge, or play a game with a controller in your feet type of thing, or, you know, for whatever donation. So that would be it. I think that's the three things that I would tell people to do: is advertise, get social, and then have a really good incentive plan for people to donate. If you could do those three things, your event is going to be far more successful than if you just sat there and pushed the go live button.
It's interesting that you didn't say giveaways. And I'm
No,
not saying
because
you need
nobody.
giveaways, because I don't think you need some, but I hear that a lot from people like, yeah, but I don't have giveaways, or you need giveaways. And I
No
think
need
like, well,
giveaways. What you're giving away. This is the best part about an incentive. What you're giving away is some of your humility. You're making fun content. You're making people laugh at you. You're making people enjoy your suffering because you drank that hot sauce, or, you know, you're giving away yourself. You're giving away
mhm.
something of you. If you have stuff to give away, cool, but you don't always need to have a giveaway to do a charity event. In fact, you don't ever need to have a giveaway to do a charity event, because they're already getting something for that, which is entertainment, and that's what you want to do, is have an entertaining stream.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you guys have any charity events planned, like personally for you coming up? Raging? Do you have a stream or something? Anything planned?
We're always constantly giving to charities and everything. We've raised over $74,000 for nonprofit organizations over the last few years. And
Amazing.
that's, yeah, it is amazing, and we continue to do things like that. I'm not quite sure if we have anything planned in the near future. I know that there's a lot of plans going in effect right now to, you know, bring in charities and other things, like we're doing tournaments to help people, and there's a lot of moving parts in Regiment right now.
Did you
Between, you know,
cover Regiment? Sorry, did you cover Regiment GG at all so far, or can we dig in completely, or did you pun?
yeah, we
Yeah.
covered Regiment, of what we're about and everything.
Okay, cool.
I will say that we are working on a Halo LAN. That's going to be a $10,000 LAN. You know, that's going to be in LA. It's gonna be Memorial Day weekend. March 28th is when the LAN's gonna be. It's gonna be a Halo LAN for $10,000. We also have a $1,000 fundraising goal for Stack Up, and we're gonna be having a regiment barbecue in Cincinnati, Ohio, on August 6th as well. So we're constantly doing things to keep the
Nice.
community active, getting the community together. We're also doing I believe it was Irreverent Warrior is doing the Silky hikes. We also have people in different cities that are representing Regiment doing those Silky hikes as well. So we're constantly doing things to help the veteran community. Like I said, we've got that goal for Stack Up that we're working towards, and you know, we're definitely moving in the right direction with charities.
I have a question, quick. You have over 10,000 members or something, right? You're the biggest,
Yes,
basically,
I
out there on point of gaming
I believe we
community.
are the biggest
Yeah, veteran.
veteran-based gaming organization community.
So here's a question: how do you manage 10,000 people throwing gaming events? I mean, you need a lot of people who are putting in the work for free. You have to teach them. You have to lead them. Like, how can we understand how the structure is in there, and maybe even how that helps people because they are taking responsibilities, right?
Absolutely. We have a lot of staff, myself included. I just came onto the staff little over 3 months ago. Um, there's a lot of staff working behind the scenes on Regiment, between the design teams, the now photo team that we're putting together, where we're actually going to have photographers that are going to go to the events and take pictures and videos and vlogs and stuff to better our content. And you know, we've got the Discord mods that are constantly going through, making sure that everything's where it needs to be. You know, people aren't, you know, getting out of line, breaking rules, terms of service, that kind of thing. You've got like myself, the content managers. You know, we're constantly working, constantly trying to bring in new people, new content creators, and there's a lot that goes behind the scenes with that as well. Like right now it's pretty I want to say timid as far as my job goes, because we're towards the tail end of everything. But here in the next week or so, we're going to start the applications again, and that's when it gets hectic. Like myself and another member, Whiskey, she's a content manager with me that's working with the Twitch side, and it gets hectic during that time frame, because we have anywhere between 200 to 300 applications that we have to go through in like 4 or 5 days. Go through them, interview them, and it's a lot of work. And just to give a shout out to everybody that's on the staff and volunteering to help better regiment or even stack up, like you guys are the real superheroes with our organizations. Like it's amazing that you guys put in so much work for absolutely nothing. And that says a lot about our organizations, that we have so many people that are willing to give that helping hand for absolutely nothing, just because of the fact that they love what we do.
No, I get that.
Is it for nothing though? Is it for absolutely nothing though?
Good question.
No,
It's not.
No, it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's not for nothing. You still get that self gratification that you did something to help somebody or something. You still have that self of belonging, because we as a whole love our members. we do everything we possibly can for our members. We do weekly giveaways, tournaments. We do $3,000 Warzone tournaments and Apex tournaments and stuff like that. And we're constantly giving away, merch. We gave away a custom PC a couple weeks ago. As far as even Entourage, the owner of Regiment went to the person that won's house with Paradox and set up the PC for them right there. We're always willing to go that extra step above for our members. And, we definitely show that through the giveaways, through, just randomly giving stuff. I mean, there's been times that you might.
I mean, there's also Pun here, for example. You're helping content creators and streamers, right?
Yes,
like
yes,
helping them with
absolutely.
setups, helping
So we have on our Discord, we have the self promotion area where you can promote your Twitch or Twitter or YouTube, TikTok. We're really big on Twitter and TikTok, and we're starting to break into Twitch and YouTube with that. But excuse me, if you're a content creator, there's a place for you to promote your content on our Discord and drive other members to your content. So in a sense, like, we're all going to benefit. We're all going to grow in that sense, as long as we all work together, network with each other. I mean, if we all did that, we could all be partner in no time. With 10,000 members, even if 100 people just watched you constantly, anyway, everyone could be partnered. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to combat suicide through gaming, and everything else is secondary.
And that's why it's not for nothing. That's
Absolutely.
why it's not for nothing. All of these things that we do, whether it's all the things that Regiment do, all internally for their folks, the things that Stack Up does, even if it's not just we talk about Stack Up, and Stack Up has a mission and raising funds for charity and all that stuff. But everything that we do, all the interactions that we have, I mean, we have a stream team as well and an active. But what we do is affecting the mental health and the safety of veterans and active duty service members the world over. So it's not for nothing. And I wasn't trying to call you out raging on that. I just wanted to tell everybody else it's for nothing, right? You're not really getting anything for this, except for you're getting something for this. And this is what you're getting. It's when we tell people that they can, oh, well, you know what? If you raise $500, we'll send you a T-shirt or a sweatshirt or something, for charity. But if you raise $1,000, you don't get anything, but you give something. That's when you sponsor a supply crate. So some things that we do that we're raising money for aren't for you; they're from you, for another veteran. And what you're doing is for veterans and active duty service members of U.S. and allied troops. I mean, that's what you're doing. And so I kind of love that a lot. That it feels very selfless. I work this job. And I used to stream to kind of get back and give back and all of that and talk about mental health stuff. Now I get back and I give back by helping everybody else do that same type of a thing and setting up their own charity events. So I get something back. That's where it's not the for nothing for me. I get something back because when I see somebody throw out a charity stream, I don't care if they raise $5. I just care that they talked about what's important to veterans. Now, if they raise $5,000 or $5, that's great too. That just goes right along with it.
Absolutely. Keeps our mind going, keeps it from going dormant.
Yeah, we talked earlier about how the goal for Stack Up this year for fundraising. How successful was Stack Up last year or even the year before? I don't know if the 21 year or the FY21 stats are out yet, but how successful was Stack Up? They're not. Okay.
They're not. Dang it.
All right.
Now look, here's the deal. Those numbers are gonna be out to everybody faster than they have been in probably any other year prior, but they're not right now, and I want them right now. Yeah. Right? So like, I know the stats, I know some of the stats because I helped put together some of those stats.
So tell us.
And so I can talk about.
So tell us.
What's that?
Leaks.
So I can tell you about some of them. Like I said, one of the things that we've already announced is $800,000 of our fundraising, which is nearly 70% of our entire income, came from content creators in their communities. That's a huge one. But the other part is folks that we had 700 and some odd people. That's 700 and some odd communities that raised that.
Wow.
700. Nice. We had over 1,100 people sign up to do charity events. 700 actually did charity events, and they raised $800,000. That's bonkers.
It is.
That's ridiculous. That's crazy.
We're
hoping that
I would have expected it to be a lot more groups than that. Just 700.
Yeah, I wouldn't. You right?
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying, is that's pretty crazy. There are also things that I can't talk about right now that I want to talk about. Stack Up is doing there's something awesome that's about to be announced, and I'm not going to be the one to bust the NDA on it.
If you whisper it, it never happened.
We're gonna. I can't do it, man. But we're going to be expanding. I'll put it this way. We're going to be expanding our ability to impact veterans with our programs in a very substantial physical way. Ooh. And I just want to be able to tell you what it is, but I can't. Yeah. So we're going to wait.
We need a sound for that.
So it's going to be awesome. We're really excited. We were hoping that March 1st would be our announcement date. It's not going to be. I'm taking a short trip next week to go and business trip to go and help nail down a couple of things, but it's gonna be good.
Awesome.
It's gonna be good. Darth Saga Swag. That's Sahara. They're our social media manager for Stack Up, and they just said that they'll tattle if I tell. I can't tell.
I think I might actually have an idea, but I'm not saying anything.
That's amazing.
I had a caveat. Well, I had to caveat or to piggyback off that what I just asked. There was another part. How has the pandemic affected fundraising for Stack Up? Because I know it's been a pretty weird time for a lot of people.
So we have no idea why, but 2020, we thought, all right, guys, let's just set our standards a little lower. We'll set our bars a little lower. People are going to be hurting. They're not going to be wanting to donate. And for whatever reason, 2020 was our best year that we ever had. And then 2021 was the best year that we have ever had. So how has it been affecting? Two ways. Number one, we've seen an influx of our program usage, specifically our stop program usage. Yeah. And we talked about that earlier, which is an unfortunate but fortunate that we exist problem, right?
Yeah.
I think we saw over 400 and some odd people come through our stop program last year, and that number sticks with me, so I'm pretty sure it's correct. Somebody might be able to double check me there, but that number will be known here by everybody soon. But that is just powerful to know that we were there to receive, and we've had to increase our stop program. We didn't intend to increase it as much as we did because we weren't planning for that type of usage. So again, you know, we're excited that we're able to do that. Man, it's terrifying that we have to do that, but we're here and we're actually succeeding at doing these things and impacting veterans' lives and keeping them here with us. So I think that that's just phenomenal.
It is. I love that.
Yep.
Also, I completely forgot about it. I think you probably didn't talk about it yet as well. We as GWC will work this year together with you as well with Stack Up. I mean, it's also not everything set in stone yet, but we will definitely create a streaming team for you guys and hope we can, you know, manage to have an impact for you and with you guys this year. We're looking forward to that.
Can I, Mizzy, can I say one thing to that?
Yeah, please.
I know that one thing that people just need to understand about Stack Up, and I think it's really important in right now's current world events way. You know, we talked earlier about how, you know, we've got veterans that are actually deployed to Central Europe from the United States. Stack Up supports U.S. and allied veterans. If you are yourself or you know somebody in your community who is a veteran of, you know, the German Armed Forces, the UK Armed Forces, that, you know, any of our allies, if they need something, if they're looking for a supply crate, if they're looking to go to our website and apply, because we support our allies. The same, I went to Iraq with Germans and Poles. I went to Afghanistan with the Dutch and with the UK folks. I mean, the same bad guys that shot at me shot at them. The same things that we deal with, they deal with as well. And they were my brothers and sisters out there. They're my brothers and sisters back home. So let people know that we support other folks. It's U.S. and our allies, veterans and active duty militaries.
Yeah, I think that's a big point to bring up. A lot of people, you know, a lot of your communities are international. You got people on your stream that are from Australia, UK, Germany, wherever, all these NATO countries. And, you know, they think, well, you know, I'd like to donate to Stack Up, but, you know, that's a U.S. organization. That's definitely not true at all. So definitely, yeah, if you are supporting Stack Up, doing a charity stream, that is something you definitely need to make known to everybody that it's not just U.S.
Oh, look, Didi, you answered a question from somebody in the chat from earlier, actually, with that. And yes, I'm German.
Oh, really?
Very German.
I would never know.
No, nobody knows.
Not at all.
Oh, damn it.
Guys, my phone is actually going to die. I had a full battery. I came out here. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be at home for this podcast because I'm selling my house and people were in my house watching, you know, looking at it, you know, hopefully not like rummaging through my drawers. But I was able to do the podcast.
What will they find?
So I am sorry that I'm gonna have to I don't know, but I am gonna have to disconnect because my phone's gonna die, and I apologize for that. I hope that it's been long enough to make a impact. I hope that it came through well. I hope that I, you know, was able to provide information to you guys. But I am going to take this opportunity to just say thank you again for having me, and thank you for putting this on and for being able to talk about veterans' problems, veterans' mental health, suicide prevention. You know, what Regiment does for veterans and as a veterans organization, what Stack Up is and how we help. So I do appreciate that, Mizzy. Thank you, Pun. And thanks, Axe. Good to meet you.
Do you have 2 minutes still, or is the phone dying immediately?
Yeah,
2 minutes.
Yeah, I got 10% battery left.
10% battery left. Because look, we have for the very end, we had these hot seat questions, you know.
Oh.
So maybe we just switch for now to the hot seat questions, because this is something we can do quickly. And then, I mean, the podcast is also already going almost 2 hours, I think. I don't know where we are right now, Pan. Do we have, like, I don't know what you have covered or not, actually, honestly. I'm a little bit still.
No,
I like hot seat questions.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I think we're good.
What do we got?
You know, we can do hot seat, and then Deity can go, and we can close out with Regiment and kind of
perfect
promote Regiment a little bit after that.
I love that. All right, then, Pun, let's go with the hot seat questions.
All right, I got to get to the hot seat questions. Hold on a second. I don't have them pulled up.
Okay. I have them.
Sorry.
No worries. I have them, actually. Hot seat questions. Number 1. Waging, you're starting. The go-to song on Spotify, Apple Music.
Oh, definitely
Whatever.
Champagne by Five Finger Death Punch.
All right. What about you, Didi?
Stay by Justin Bieber, but and the Kid Laroi, but not hold on now, but not their version, the Our Last Night metal cover version.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was not
I can go with
expecting that one.
Don't judge me, man.
I'm not judging.
He's a
I didn't know
believer.
what you normally listen to, and I was like, Justin Bieber.
Is my face judging?
He has matured. He has matured a lot compared to 10 years ago, but still.
Mizzy has
Not much,
resting
though.
judgy
Wait.
face.
All right. Second question. Come on, let's go, guys. Favorite beverage? Man, this was so fun. Do we have to mention what happened in the Twitter chat before? No, we don't. No, we don't. We just keep going, right? So, what's your favorite drink in the morning and in the evening?
Coffee. Coffee in the morning.
Do you have a
Definitely gonna be
particular
I'm done for that.
brew,
Oh,
particular brand?
no particular brand, just anything caramel.
Okay.
Evening, if I had my choice every night, it'd be whiskey.
All right, done.
All right.
For me is I unfortunately I have an energy drink that I enjoy, and I drink that every morning. So that's my
Hey,
morning.
Oh, that's
thing.
terrible. Don't do that.
hey,
My
you know
heart
what?
went into SVT doing the energy drinks every day.
We are switching this game around here. You're not giving us the answers what your favorite thing is first. You're giving this. Okay, Didi's answering what he thinks Raging's choice, and the other way around.
Oh,
And after that, you say if it's wrong or
okay.
right. Okay.
Oh,
I think
okay.
this is so much more fun here.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right. Third question: Mandua or Boba Fett? So, Raging, you start saying what you think. What Didi thinks. Is he a Mandu person? Mandalorian.
I kind of feel like he's gonna be a Boba Fett, because I mean, you got to go old school Star Wars.
So do I have to say if
No,
he's
not
right
yet.
or not?
Not yet. No, first you say
All right.
what you think he likes more.
Oh, I think he's a Boba.
All right. And were you both right?
He was definitely right with me being Boba.
I'm a Mando.
Yeah.
I'm a Mando.
Yep.
Why though? Like Boba saved
I'm a Mando. I'm changing. This is only the way for right now, and I'm changing it when I want to.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be an Obi-Wan as soon as the show starts.
All right. I think the next one we can do regularly again. Just give me the answer. What you think? Will YouTube take over Twitch in 5 years?
Oh God.
Yes. No. Come on. Yes. No. Yes. No.
No, not a chance.
Didi?
No.
No. All right. Is the USMC really just part of the Navy?
Yes.
Absolutely yes. The men's department.
Oh.
Oh my God. We just go to the next one.
Yeah.
We're getting better and better.
We're just gonna leave that one.
Fun's like, I'm just gonna put my head down and leave it.
Right. Favorite video game?
Are we answering for ourselves or for each other?
We can switch again. It's a good one, right?
Because
Okay.
he's never gonna get mine. My favorite video game was definitely SOCOM, hands down.
Oh yeah.
Favorite ever or favorite right now?
Ever.
Yeah.
Oh. Favorite ever is gonna be probably God of War franchise.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Pan, I want to know. I actually want to know yours. What's yours?
Oh,
Pan?
my favorite one?
Yeah.
Probably to date. Oh gosh.
Pong.
I'm going old school. No, I think for me, Metroid was my favorite. Absolutely love Metroid.
That's nice.
Yep.
All right. Mine is still Battlefield 3.
Yeah, I mean that's
Or 4 was also good, but anyways. Favorite comfort food?
Oh,
Hot wings.
yes.
Ben and Jerry Sherry Garcia. Definitely a
Jerry
that one.
Garcia.
Yes.
I
I
have to think. I'm
love some
still
Cherry
thinking.
Garcia.
Did you say anything?
Yeah, he said hot wings.
Yeah,
No, hot wings.
Yeah.
You said hot
Hot
wings.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, buffalo wings. I love them. I love them. I love them.
Okay, what's number one on your bucket list?
Oh, I mean, everything that was on my bucket list, I pretty much did in the military, like jumping out of airplanes, scuba diving, all that stuff. So really, the only thing that I have that's number one is just to eventually make Twitch partner.
All right, nice.
Okay.
Adopt.
Yes. Yeah.
Big one.
We've been working on our adoption for the last 2 years, so that's on my bucket list.
That's interesting. Do you remember when we had the interview? I think that was right at the beginning. When we had our first talk and you said like you finally decided to do that step. And was it right at the beginning of COVID, right? No.
Pretty close. Yeah, and
Or the
Nope.
Damn, it was a long. And then he left.
Yeah, his phone might have died.
His phone probably died. Oh damn! But we got a couple of these amazing questions here, so really, let's see. Shall we wait a second if he's coming back, or?
Nah, just go with the questions. I doubt he'll be back.
All right, chat. We need your help. Chat. We give you now. You guys in chat. You all a Didi. All right. So chocolate or vanilla? Chocolate or vanilla? So
definitely vanilla. I'm not really a chocolate guy.
Yeah, I love
all right, chat.
Too. Something about vanilla.
Vanilla chocolate. It depends what you use the vanilla chocolate for. Like if it's a milkshake, for example, I'm definitely a vanilla guy. But if it's ice cream, it's a good chocolate ice cream, we'll take it as well.
It has to be really good chocolate ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Pineapple on pizza.
Oh, God.
Hot topic.
I'm just going to say that that's about as disgusting as anchovies. Between pineapple and like cherries and stuff, like fruit doesn't belong on pizza.
The thing is that for me, if it's self-made and it's good, then I like it. I would eat it. It's not a problem. But it's somehow I don't know. It's definitely not my favorite or something, but I could eat it.
2 years ago, I wouldn't have eaten it, but now I do because it's like one of the only things I could taste because of my COVID. My long COVID, whatever they call it.
With that, with COVID,
that was the only thing you could taste. Pineapple pizza.
One of the few things that I could taste that tastes like it originally tastes is pineapple. Because COVID screwed my taste and smell up so bad.
But I just imagine, imagine with all this discussion going on, like these people who say like, I hate pineapple pizza, go away with it. And then you were like, the only thing I could taste during COVID was pineapple pizza.
Yeah. I mean, this is
better to taste something disgusting than nothing at all.
Yeah. It's just the salt and the sweet. That's what it is. The
extreme.
It's just really helps.
Oh
yeah, Trox plays. I agree. Mountain Dew will never be the same after COVID. It tastes like crap. It's so bad, and it used to be my favorite soda.
So we have one last question left, right?
I think there was two. There was one about the primary and secondary fire team too.
Oh yeah. So if you were to go back into battle, what would be your primary and secondary choice?
Oh my God. Okay, so
repeat the question again for the chat, please, quick, because I don't think Pun. Repeat the question for the chat one time again.
So if you had to go back into battle, and this was geared toward Deity and Rage because they served, but many of y'all served too, so you can answer this in chat. But if you were to have to go back into battle, say if you were in Ukraine right now, for instance, and you had your choice of primary and secondary, what would you choose? Primary, secondary weapon as a firearm.
And we're not talking about Weavers when you're respawning, guys. We are talking about wheel guns.
Sorry, I think, God, my primary. I got to go back to my roots. M249.
Yeah. That was mine too. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I would take the saw over anything.
I mean, I'm a 31 all day, so saw is my jam.
As weird as it is, I actually qualified the saw as a submarine freaking sailor, if you can believe that. But we used to have them up in the sail for security once 9/11 happened and we ramped up our physical security. So yeah, I was qualified M249, M60, and one of the only grenade launcher qualified on the M16, the Mark 203. Qualified in subs. It was crazy.
I see a lot of people putting M4, and people putting M4 are gonna hate me for this, but machine gunners, we have our primary as our saw, and then our secondary was an M4. Well, right at the tail end when I was getting out, they got rid of the M4s and they switched to the IAR, the M27. And I'm going to say right now that I absolutely loved the M27 over the M4. And that would hands down, my primary would be the M249 saw. My secondary would be the M27 IAR.
I was only one time in my life shooting, and I tried 3 different guns, and I really couldn't handle. I think I had the Magnum on one point, and it has a lot of recoil, right? The feeling of the recoil was the worst for me. You know, it's not like freaking me out that I'm shooting or whatever, but it's just I don't know. I rather would like properly use something like M4 with sniper, whatever. I can't see myself going, into battle, honestly. If I have to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't freak out though. I'm not the person who's freaking out. It's more I would be probably even like super calm and then freak out when everything is over. Then I would freak out. Then I would probably scream and freak
Shox
out.
Plays says the Mark 19. Good old 40 Mike. Thunk, 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 thunk.
Yep. It sounds so awesome though.
Oh yeah,
Great question. All
the
right.
Mark 19's an automatic grenade launcher, and it just sends grenades downrange and
Yep.
it makes the most glorious noise. Like it's just like thunk, thunk, thunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Did you guys cover everything about regiment really? Like, what you're doing there specifically, or what you hope
Well, we
to
talked
see?
a lot about it. One of the things, talk about one of the things regiments just recently done with their second, I guess, talking about VGC.
Absolutely. So, VGC, Veteran Gaming League, they created it as
VGL. Yes, right. Sorry.
Yeah, VGL. You had me saying VJC too.
Yeah, we cut it out. There it is.
Right? Just edit that. But yeah, VGL,
No.
Veteran Gaming League. We basically they just wanted to create something that would benefit veterans even farther. We did our weekly tournaments and everything. We've done our big tournaments like $3,000 Warzone tournaments and Apex tournaments, stuff like that. And they were planning a LAN in LA for like the longest time. I'm assuming they had VGL in mind when they were doing it already. But they recently came out with VGL. It's going to be a gaming league for veterans, specifically for veterans. And I think it's a great idea because, I mean, we had all these things grow throughout the decade of gaming and esports. We've seen women only leagues. We've seen college leagues. Now the military official leagues with, Army, Navy, Marines having their own esports teams that now compete against each other. And I think to have a veterans league is an amazing thing. They've got this Halo LAN plan, like I said, in LA. It's a $10,000 LAN. And it's May 28th, so the Memorial Day weekend. I think it's gonna be a great thing. I think it's gonna be a big deal. I'm excited to see where it goes, and I think it's gonna be the next game battles for veterans.
Awesome.
Now the rule for that tournament specifically is each team has to have specifically at least one veteran on the team, right?
Yes.
But it's also designed to bring in big time content creators to kind of help with that too, right? To be part of
Big time content creators, big time orgs. We want to see Regiment and VGL across the globe. We want to see, everybody knowing our name. The fact that Nick Merckx knows who Regiment is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Just a while ago, I believe somebody mentioned Regiment or Regiment. The Regiment Twitch popped into his stream and said something, but it was amazing because he was like, Regiment, I know who they are, and like just started talking about us, and that drove a lot of people to us. So having those big name content creators and orgs that know who we are and that even just say the slightest about us is going to drive more people towards us. And it's the end of the day, it's not to boost our numbers or anything. Numbers are great, but at the end of the day, it's to bring in more people that are like-minded, that are going to help each other out. Everyone has each other's six. And I think that's the biggest thing about Regiment and combating suicide is everybody's working together. Everybody's concerned about each other. And even though we've got 10,000 members or 10,000 plus members, we're shooting for 20,000 this next year. The numbers don't mean anything. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about helping people.
That's right.
Yeah. Connecting with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And building the structures they need so they can connect with. And that's so much work. And that's amazing that it works out for you guys so good and that you managed to keep doing it because it's really difficult, right? These times with especially games, platforms, crossplay, non-crossplay, everyone has switched around, switched to different games these days. You don't have this one game era anymore, right?
Absolutely. And gaming's forever changing. Like, God, I remember playing like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot by myself, getting, mad because I couldn't get past this level. And nowadays, like, you can just invite a friend and they can help you through that level. And you can do co-op and everything like that. That wasn't even a thought back in the late 90s. And today it's like anything is possible.
Yeah, I agree. And the greatest thing that I've learned being a part of Regiment, more than anything, is the community that you can fall on and get support from. If and when you need it, and if you just want to go in and play video games, and have people that are like minded, that's where Regiment really thrives. Is going in and be able to just hang out and be able to talk to people who have been in your shoes, been in your boots. And that's what I really like about Regiment. And the fact now that it's supporting Stack Up, which is my heart and soul, to be honest with you, is just cherry on top because it's fantastic. And like I said before, Regiment, and you said it, is that Regiment's mission is to prevent suicide. Stack Up's mission is to prevent suicide, and I think it's a match made in heaven, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. I mean, we couldn't ask for a better partner than Stack Up.
Yeah. Listen, what is the best way if you have someone that's in chat right now or will probably watch this on the VOD later on, what is the best way to join Regiment? What is the requirements to join Regiment?
So to join Regiment, really all you have to do is just go to our Discord. You can find that on regiment.gg. Go to our website. You can click the join button. It'll bring you right to our Discord. When you go to our Discord, you can join as a civilian. However, you won't be an official member unless you are a veteran. Everybody's open to join the Discord, communicate with each other, network, so on and so forth. Even if you're just a civilian or a dependent or whatever, you can still join the Discord. You can still be a member of the Discord. However, in order to be an official member of Regiment, you have to verify your either current status in the military or your veteran status. And there's numerous ways that you can go to doing that. There's a section in the Discord where you can apply to be an official member. Upon completion of that verification process that they vet you as being a veteran or currently active, you'll get the invite to the Twitch team on Twitch and everything, and you'll also get the verified status that opens up more of the Discord to you, because as a civilian or a supporter, there's only so much of the Discord you can see. Some of it is blocked out just for veterans because of the fact that we can get a little rowdy at times.
Yes, we can. And there's things that, I mean, we talk about that the civilian world just wouldn't understand, or they may think, man, that's really sick or really dark, but that's just kind of how we think.
Like even the like acronyms that we have and everything. Like I remember when I was in, we were no longer to call the COC a certain thing anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Ah, damn, I was muted.
They stopped that like completely. But I mean, that was something that we did back in the day. Like,
so you kind of also provide the safe space, right, where people can communicate openly with each other.
Absolutely.
And having their own language, which could be judged from the outside.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big strong points of the regiment Discord, is being able to have that space where you can go in and you can talk with people who understand you.
Because like, if I talk to somebody and I'm talking about a moonbeam, not a lot of people are going to understand what a moonbeam is, but a veteran is. They're going to know that it's a flashlight.
Yeah,
there's different things that we call certain things that it's just not going to make sense to everyday people. Hold on a second, my lieutenant is texting me.
Oh,
well, I was letting him know that I was probably not going to be in tomorrow because my back is killing me.
I hope that's
I'm good.
Better.
I'm good.
You're good?
Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. No, thank you so much. I think that was I wish I could have been there from the beginning, especially because I really don't know what we missed now. But I think, Pan, you got us covered perfectly. And thank you so much, by the way, for jumping in here, also preparing this podcast so greatly. And putting in all the work in general, guys. GWC as well, we are a nonprofit platform here, and everything we do here is because of multiple people stepping up and saying like, hey, let's do something great together. We want to create charity events. We are doing this podcast to open up conversations about maybe sometimes also some difficult topics, and giving people the space to have a deeper conversation around it. And this is why we already at like 2 hours live, right? So
2 hours and 6 minutes. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So I hope everyone enjoyed you, really. If you guys haven't chat, another last question here for RagingAxeMan, please bring it up now, because I think we are about to hit the end, right?
Yeah, I know KP Spec just had a question. Can civilians have access to the game channels? I don't know the question to that, to be honest.
I believe so. I believe they do have access to the game channels. They just don't have access to certain channels like the Marines only chat, the Army chat,
the barracks channel,
the barracks. Yep.
Yeah.
There's
where
channels. That's where all the banter happens. Yep. There's just certain channels that are military only, and but the self promo, the game channels where you can find somebody to play with, I believe all of that is open to civilian.
Yeah.
What's the best way for us as civilians to help a veteran in a basic way that anyone could do? In a basic way.
I mean, the biggest thing is to thank them for their service. Buy them a cup of coffee or something. I mean, a lot of times, especially Vietnam vets, they came back. And my dad was a Vietnam vet. He didn't get the respect that he deserves. Like, and I hate to say it like that. Like, as a veteran, you should never demand respect. But I mean that as a point. Like, he came back and he was looked as a baby killer. Like, nobody respected him at all, and that was the era that we lived in then. And it hit him hard. Just from a veteran standpoint, when somebody thanks me for my service, I don't quite know what to say.
Yeah.
Do you say you're welcome, or no problem. Like, at the end of the day, it was my job. It's what I signed up to do. So
We don't do that in Germany at all.
at all? Oh, well,
A-
that's
At all. And it's for me, it's always like I know it's a big thing in the US, and you always have to say, thank you for your service, thank you for
yeah,
your service, and it's like a general thing. And for me, it's it's kind of weird, but only because it's not a habit, not because I'm judging it
right.
for anything.
Yeah.
It's just because it's not in my culture. It's like, yeah, you were at the military.
And
But I
that's
think it's
that's
also because in
that's
Germany we don't have military really anymore. I mean, since the war started basically 7 days ago, we didn't even had a budget for guns. It's
Oh
like,
wow.
oh, okay, the Russians are there now. We can actually have money for guns. Put a few billion in there. Okay, let's go. It's weird.
yeah. Germany, they're still like I was reading and watching a documentary the other day, like putting them side by side, and Germany to this day is still recovering from Nazi rule. Like there's certain things that Geneva Convention won't even allow Germany to do. And I think that's probably what went into them like not having a budget for guns and stuff was they didn't want to go across the Geneva Convention with that whole treaty and everything.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
it astonishes me how much it like even Japan like still hasn't recovered from World War II, and it's it's amazing how little the world you know forgets things like that, and it holds people accountable even years later. Like it, it's a whole messed up thing in my opinion, but yeah, I mean, just thank a veteran. I mean, it's us as veterans, we're not going to know what to say to it half the time.
And
um
we're not expecting it either.
yeah, we're
We're
not
not
expecting
looking
it.
for it.
But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like if somebody walks up to me, says thank you for your service, and like I've had numerous times, like even as the fire department, people behind me, I'll be getting a coffee, people behind me will pay for my coffee and thank me for my service. I don't quite know what to say to it because it's my job, but I thank them for buying my coffee and everything, and it means a lot. It at the end of the day, especially if you thank somebody and like buy a coffee for somebody that's in that bad place, it's gonna help them out tremendously. They're gonna look at that and it's gonna help them out a lot. They're gonna be like, wow, like somebody appreciates me for what I did.
Yeah. And you don't know how much a simple thank you can go to changing somebody's day, because
It's little
you
things
don't
that matter.
know what. Yeah, it's the little things that matter, and you just don't know what they're going through at that time. And just saying thank you for doing what you do and for protecting our freedom, it could change your path. I mean,
I mean,
literally.
even the fire department, I had a guy, he seemed off, just wasn't acting right. Not too bad, like just something wasn't right that I couldn't pick out on. And I just asked him, like, hey man, are you okay? Is something going on? You need to talk about something? And he was like, absolutely. And just went off on how, he was going through a rough divorce. His wife was threatening to take his kids. And just by me asking him how he was doing, like, this guy was like at the point that he was going to become a statistic. Just by me asking if he was okay, helped him tremendously and took him out of that thought process because he knew that somebody cared.
Yep.
I
Yeah, I
was
agree.
thinking I was thinking right now about another podcast with Reverend, oh god, I can't pronounce the R. Um RevQ. Damn it.
Oh, Rev DMQ.
Thank you. Rev
Yeah.
DMQ. And I mean he has a lot of veterans as well. And he said like that was so nice when he said it, like a break question, a question to get into a conversation to break, this, I don't want to tell you anything, or just say, yeah, everything is fine. He said like, hey, tell me something good.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of saying, "Hey, how you doing today?" Instead of that,
Hmm.
say, tell me something good.
Hmm. And I think this is a general gesture, everyone could do with everyone basically
Yeah.
to open up a more Well, straightforward conversation.
Yeah.
And listening is so important.
I agree.
Yeah. I would also say, if you're on somebody's stream and they're running a charity stream for a veterans organization, whether it's Stack Up or USO or Puppies for Vets, whatever out there, um, even if you can just give $1 or €1 or whatever your currency is, even if it's just that,
Mm-hmm.
that goes a long way to helping veterans. Because, these organizations, especially like Stack Up, they have hardly any overhead. Pretty much almost every bit of the charity money that they raise goes back into the charity itself. Overhead's very little because most of the people are volunteers that work for them. So, whether it's USO, Stack Up, I'm going to promote Stack Up as much as possible because that's my organization. But, if you got somebody, fundraising, just drop $1. Just, if you can afford more, definitely afford more. But that's another great way that you can support veterans is through charity fundraising. And if you
True,
feel
true.
like you want to run a charity fundraiser and you want to run one for Stack Up has a call to arms campaign that you can go in and you can set up your own stream and you can just promote Stack Up on your stream and have a donate link. Donor Drive is the platform they use for secure transactions. It is very secure. You don't have to worry about any, especially for the streamer. The money transaction goes directly from the person that's giving the money directly to the charity. There's no interaction with the streamer themselves, and everything is secure, keeps you safe. So definitely, definitely give if you can give. Other than that, promotion. But there's so many things that we can do
I
for
think
veterans.
you can use Tiltify as well, right? Just as an option.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if Tiltify's there. I know Donor Drive is the one that they've recently
I know
they've
they
been using
prefer
the last
Donor
couple of
Drive,
years.
and
Yeah,
Donor Drive is great. I'm just saying, like, I think the two big platforms out there are Tiltify and
yeah,
Donor Drive, and I mean, we as GWC only work with these just because we want to we want people to see where the money is going, and this is the
correct.
best and easiest way, right? So
Yep,
money goes in, and you see immediately it's going to that charity, and it won't stick with us for any second.
yep.
Um, and they're so easy. They're so easy. Also, if he is a content creator in here in general, GWC we also try to support and help content creators as well. If you have any question or you would like to participate in gaming events or charity events, we would like to do more for Stack Up here. Maybe actually Waging, you and I should have a talk as well later again. I think there's so much we can do, and just talking about it, sharing your vision about how you can help maybe somebody or with something. Um, that's always the beginning, and
Yeah.
then you go from there. You know, and we all can do something. It doesn't have to be big.
Nope.
Thank you all for being here. Also, the chat, amazing. So many people participating here, putting in the questions, sharing the love, guys. You guys, really, so many new faces in here. Thank you so much. Um, make sure also maybe to check us out. We on Twitter, we on YouTube. You can hear our podcast also through Anchor. Means we have an audio version for each podcast you can listen to. Um, we had a great conversation today. Thank you so much, Raging, for being here. Do you have also, like, for the end, maybe, or is there maybe a general message you want to get out there again, or anything we didn't cover or we should have asked you? You know, um,
Your
go for it.
socials, for instance,
Oh,
if
my
you want to.
socials, absolutely. Well, as you guys know, Raging Axeman, it's fairly easy. I am the only Raging Axeman on any social. If you put in my name, I'm the only one that pops up. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and then there's RegimentGG. You guys can follow RegimentGG as well. Same thing on every platform. And if you guys like the Viking theme thing, then definitely want to check out my Twitter or my Twitch is all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well,
Amazing.
when do you stream on Twitch?
Oh
What's your
yeah.
schedule?
I'm actually in the process of doing a full rebrand. Like this back here behind me, I literally did like finished 20 minutes before we started this podcast.
Nice.
but I'm completely rebranding. I did have a Spartan theme, but Spartan thing didn't really go with my name because they didn't really use axes. So I went with the Viking theme now because I have Norse blood in me. So, you know, my ancestors are Vikings, and, you know, then there's the hair, and fit with Raging Axeman. They have a fascination with fire, and I'm a firefighter, so it just all kind of fits. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
We're gonna do a rebrand.
Nice.
nice.